because this is where we are. Moreover, Christianity provides a unique and satisfyingly coherent explanation of how we come to be spiritual beings. It is appropriate, or was it an inspired coincidence, that our 4 Sundays on spirituality are clustered around the great Christian feast of the Holy Spirit, Pentecost. What do we as Christians mean by the Holy Spirit? To put it very simply, God enters into humanity through the life and death of Jesus, the supreme God-bearer. The Spirit of Jesus, the Holy Spirit, lives on in humanity, so that to the extent that we become like Jesus, we also become God-bearers. What more does Christianity tell us about the Holy Spirit? In its great teaching on the Holy Trinity, the Church depicts the Holy Spirit as being the love which informs the relationship between Father and Son. It is through the Spirit that we can share in that relationship. But how can we relate to someone we don't see or meet? Communication is at the heart of all relationships. God communicates himself to us through the person of Jesus, whom we can get to know through the Scriptures, which tell of his teachings and the way he lived his life. Jesus said, as you heard earlier, in John 14, I am in the Father, and the Father is in me. And then, if you love me, keep my commandments. And again, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and all your soul and all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. We communicate our love to God through prayer, individually, in all its infinite variety, and through our communal worship. But this is not all. Jesus went on, and a second is like it. You shall love your neighbour as yourself. Who is my neighbour? Jesus answered this question with a parable of the Good Samaritan. In a nutshell, anyone and everyone. Then read Matthew chapter 26. For I was hungry and you gave me food. Culminating in, as you did it to one of the least of my brethren, you did it to me. One of the greatest mystics, St. Teresa of Avila, expressed beautifully how the Spirit in us can relate to the Spirit in others. Lord, you have no body now on earth but ours. Her life was full of active involvement with other people. You may say, well, that's all very well, but lots of us haven't got time for prayer and good works. We may, for example, be too busy taking good care of and providing for our families, maybe in very difficult circumstances. But at such times in our lives, that is precisely how we are called on to love God. After all, our families are the neighbours we normally have most contact with. And I believe it was St. Benedict who said, to work is to pray. However, it's just at those times of pressure that we may need God most. I heard that Bishop Tutu, that great spiritual giant, said something like this: sometimes I'm much too busy to pray, then I pray twice as much. I'm not sure I can live up to that, but since our relationships wither without quality time together, it does help to touch base in prayer from time to time, so that we can remain continually aware of God's presence within us at a subliminal level, just as we carry our nearest and dearest in our hearts. We should acknowledge too that some of us are disadvantaged, for example, by poor physical or mental health, by age or other circumstances, and we can't get about to do practical things for other people. He also serves who only stands and waits, wrote the blind Milton. We can only love God as best we can, as we are, with all our limitations. Love does not ask for more. When do we become spiritual beings? Is it when we are christened or become mature? Or, trailing clouds of glory do we come from God who is our home, to quote Wordsworth. And again the psalmist, you knitted me together in my mother's womb. The first of our 4 Sundays is to be graced with the presence at his christening of baby Thomas Prosser. Well, clearly we can't get Thomas to talk to us about spirituality, but we can ponder on a baby's inborn need for loving relationships. Trevor is going to explore spirituality with our Sunday school children. Without being aware of it, but with their sense of wonder, their ability to accept things at a non-verbal level, and their natural honesty, children may be more in contact with their spirituality than we grown-ups are with ours. We should listen carefully, tenderly nurture their spirituality, and be prepared to learn from them. Nevertheless, most of us do lose some of that sense of direct contact with God as we grow more rational and responsible, and life grows infinitely more complicated. This is not to say that we must become less spiritual, but the nature of our spirituality usually changes as our circumstances change. Throughout the June Sundays, members of our congregation, spanning the generations, are going to share with us their understanding of spirituality, what it means to them at this time in their lives, and perhaps something of their journey up to now. Finally, may I draw your attention to the flyer in your pew sheet, which is an invitation to the diocesan celebration of age service, to be held at Southwark Cathedral on Saturday, 2nd July at 4 p.m. This is not so much a postscript as the event which has triggered off the whole idea of our exploration here at the Church of the Ascension of lifelong spirituality. Perhaps we will be able to say, with T.S. Eliot, we shall not cease from exploration, and the end of all our exploring will be to arrive where we started and know the place for the first time.